Why would someone wait until a wedding ceremony to remove a child from his own seat? Except this wasn't humiliation at all, but something planned long before anyone arrived there today.
It was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life, until my mother stood up. Not during a speech, not during applause, but right in the middle of my wedding ceremony. She walked straight past the guests, straight past the flowers, and stopped at one empty chair, my adopted son Elias's seat. Then she sat down like she had every right in the world. Family sits here, not charity cases. I felt my entire body lock up. Elias, just 8 years old, stood beside the chair he had decorated himself. His small hands were still holding the ribbon he used earlier. Now he just stared, confused, like he was trying to understand what he did wrong. I am Lena Morris, 32. I spent years building a life that finally felt safe, a family that finally felt whole. But my mother, Margaret, had just rewritten everything in one sentence. I turned toward my husband, Daniel, expecting him to stand up. He didn't. Instead, he looked down at his glass like he was hiding from something he already knew was coming. And then my mother leaned back in Elias's chair and smiled at him. Go stand somewhere else. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Elias took a step back and no one stopped him. Not even Daniel. And that's when my sister suddenly froze, staring at something behind my mother's seat. What are you looking at? I whispered, following Clara's gaze. My sister didn't answer right away. She just stood there, stiff, like her body had forgotten how to move. Around us, the wedding tried to continue. Glasses clinked. Someone laughed too loudly. But the air had already changed. Elias was now standing near the edge of the table, silent. Too silent. His little suit looked too big on his small frame, like he had suddenly become invisible. Daniel finally leaned toward me. Lena, please don't turn this into something bigger, he murmured. Something bigger? My own mother had just displaced my son from his seat at my wedding. Clara suddenly whispered, Mom, stop this. But Margaret didn't even look at her. She tapped the empty chair like she was correcting an error. That seat is for real family, she said loudly. Let's not confuse kindness with belonging. A few guests shifted uncomfortably. Elias accidentally knocked his juice glass with his elbow. It shattered. The sound cut through everything. Silence dropped like a weight. And then my mother said something even worse, calm as ever. That boy was never meant to sit here anyway. Elias turned toward me, eyes trembling. And before I could move, Clara dropped her fork so hard it echoed across the hall. And then she whispered something no one was supposed to hear. You don't know what Dad left behind. You don't know what Dad left behind. Those words didn't just land, they stopped the room. My father had been dead for 3 years. Hearing his name here felt like someone had pulled a thread through time and tightened it around my throat. Daniel stood up instantly. Clara, what are you talking about? But Clara didn't look at him. She was staring at my mother now. Not scared. Certain. My mother's smile faded for the first time. That's enough, she snapped. Sit down, Clara. But Clara shook her head and slowly reached into her handbag. Elias moved closer to me without thinking, gripping the side of my dress. I felt it, his fear, his confusion, the way children shrink when adults turn dangerous. Clara pulled out a sealed envelope. And my mother went pale. No, she whispered. Not that. That reaction alone changed everything. Open it, I said, my voice barely steady. Clara hesitated, then tore it open. Daniel stepped closer, reading over her shoulder. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. This is illegal, he muttered. My mother suddenly stood up, so fast her chair screeched back. What did you do? I asked her. For the first time, she had no immediate answer. Because Clara was already reading the first line out loud. And the words made the entire room go silent again. Inheritance and guardianship of Elias Morris, fully protected under grandfather's final will. A low murmur spread through the guests like electricity. Elias tightened his grip on my hand. My mother laughed hoarsely. That's impossible. But Clara didn't stop reading. It states Elias is the legally protected heir of the Morris estate. she continued, voice steady now. And no family member has authority to remove or displace him. Daniel took the document fully from her hands, scanning it faster and faster. Then he stopped, looked up, and for the first time in our entire relationship, he looked at my mother like he didn't recognize her. "You knew," he said quietly. My mother's face twitched. This is being misinterpreted. But Clara stepped forward.
No.
"You hid it." Elias flinched at the rising voices. I immediately pulled him behind me. My heart was racing now, not just anger, but clarity forming in pieces I hadn't seen before. Daniel turned to her. "You let her believe he had no place here." Silence. Then my mother whispered something almost broken. "He was never supposed to be part of the inheritance." That sentence changed everything again, because now it wasn't just about a seat. It was about why she tried to erase him entirely. And Daniel finally said, "Margaret, what exactly did you do to this child's name?"
So this was never really about the wedding seat. Then why was she so desperate to make that child disappear from the family?
The truth didn't explode all at once. It unraveled. The lawyer arrived within the hour, confirming everything from the document. My father had rewritten his will years ago after seeing how my mother treated Elias from the moment I adopted him. Elias wasn't an afterthought. He was protected. Legally. Fully. Explicitly. And my mother had known. She just chose silence. Now the guests were no longer guests. They were witnesses. My mother kept insisting it was misunderstood, but her voice kept breaking as more details surfaced. She had tried to pressure the family into ignoring the will, tried to push Elias out emotionally so it would look natural. But it didn't work. Daniel finally turned to her. "You didn't just disrespect him. You tried to erase him." That was the moment everything collapsed. Some guests left immediately. Others refused to even look at her. Security escorted her out, not violently but firmly, as she kept calling my name as if I would fix it. I didn't move. Instead, I knelt beside Elias. And for the first time all day, his shoulders dropped. "I've got you," I whispered. He nodded slowly, like he finally believed it. Daniel stood beside us, this time, not silent. And the wedding never continued because it didn't need to. What mattered was already decided. Elias wasn't an outsider. He never was.
You ever notice how the people trying hardest to exclude a child already seem terrified of what happens if that child is finally treated as real family?